Hello! Happy Monday the 25th of April. My name's Eva from Eva Christie Hand Knitting, and this is the third episode of my podcast. Straight off, I will apologise, we're a bit later recording today. I normally do it sort of late morning Monday and then upload it later on. But my very best friend Sujatin, who is a dreadful influence on me, kind of encouraged me to go on a yarn road trip earlier, so we're not long back. It's early evening in Perth in Scotland now. The boyfriend has just arrived home from work. He's away off to the gym. He put the washing machine on in the other room because we just live in a one-bedroom bungalow, so there's not a huge amount of space. He completely forgot that I was about to start recording, so apologies if you can hear it in the background. If it gets really bad with spin cycles and drainage noises and all the rest of it, then I will pause this and I'll resume the podcast later on. But regardless, it's going to be tomorrow before this is uploaded now, so I was trying to stick to a Monday, but hey, yarn happens. You know, life has other plans. So I'm going to change the format a wee bit. I've been playing about with it now. I'm starting to get a bit more relaxed in front of the camera. At least I feel a bit more relaxed. I think I'm coming over a wee bit more animated and a bit more like myself now, so that's positive. So we're going to start off with where to find me. I am Pan Within on Ravelry, although I don't do a huge amount there. I just feel that as soon as you end up in Ravelry, you're there for hours and it takes away from precious knitting time and other things that I really could be getting on with. But I will need to get my finger out and actually crack on with it because everyone else seems to be there, and on Instagram as well, and I don't Instagram. Within Perth it's a bit different. Everybody seems to still be on Facebook, and all the local businesses and things chat through Twitter, so those are the two main ones that I do. Please excuse the fringe, I'm a wee bit windswept and interesting today, which you'll find out a wee bit more about as we go on. So I'm Pan Within on Ravelry. I am Eva Christie Hand Knitting on Facebook, which is the main one that I tend to update. You can also find some of my work under Eva Christie Hand Knitting on Tumblr. I am at Eva Knits on Twitter, and you can email me at evachristiehandknitting@gmail.com, which some of you have, and that's absolutely lovely. Thank you. It's been very encouraging to get your messages through. So please do let me know. I mean, straight off, I now have, coming into my third episode now, I have 32 subscribers and I'm completely blown away by that. I'm not getting all the notifications through from YouTube to my Gmail account to let me know who's signed up, so if you have and you want to let yourself be known, please leave me a message in the comments, get in touch with me through social media. I would love to know a little bit more about you and know who I'm talking to. Just makes it a little bit more human than me just sort of sitting here and chatting away to my random face. I've had 222 total views as well across the two podcasts, which is just utterly amazing. I can't believe it. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you are enjoying it. Well, 32 of you are. So I must be doing something right here. A lot of other podcasts that I've been watching have been talking about acquisitions to stash and yeah, new additions and all the rest of it, and I was chatting with Sujatin today and said, you know, one of my favourite phrases that I use when I'm at trade shows and things like that is about rehoming yarn. So I think that's how I'm going to refer to it from now on in my podcast. See, I'm going to introduce the yarns that I have rehomed, and well, I'd only rehomed one skein this week, which was really good. I was doing well, my bank manager was happy. And then Sujatin and I went away to Karelia today, and yeah, I've got a few more now. So I'll start off and I'll show you what I got first of all from Ysolda. Now, Ysolda Teague is an absolute sweetheart. She's one of these knitwear designers that I really admire. And if you've watched the podcast from last week, you would have seen the brioche knitting that I was doing, and that was from some Jill Draper Make Stuff yarn that I got from Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And I wasn't quite sure what to do because brioche is very yarn hungry, and I wanted to make this lovely cowl for me. The colour kind of matched my eyes, and that shade of green, which is almost kind of like this green here in my Noro wrap, is very much my colour. So I got in contact with her, I tweeted her, she got back in touch and asked me to send an email off, and lo and behold, Rebecca responded and went, "You're in luck. We do have a few of those skeins left from Edinburgh." So we organised a little transfer and here it is. So my first rehomed yarn this week is another skein of Joe Draper Makes Stuff, Mohonk. So absolutely thrilled. I'm going to show you what's in my needles in a minute so you can see how much I've actually knitted up of that brioche, and I'll talk a wee bit more about that then. So look, I've got another one. Thrilled. But I wanted to show you this as well because I really like the packaging that came through with Ysolda's yarn. I'm not going to show you my address because there are a few randoms out there, but I thought I just have to show you the stickers that are on the packaging. How cute! That is so sweet. I think that's merino. I think that's a big merino sheep. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very, very cute sheep. It's on the packaging there, and there was another one on the inside, and I've got tissue paper. My cats will love that. I've saved it from them until I show this to you. Martha in particular, my youngest cat baby, she absolutely adores just sitting in tissue paper and rips it up with her claws and her teeth, and she goes absolutely nuts for it. But look at the other lovely, very, very cute sticker that is in the tissue paper, and I think that might be a detail from the Orchid Thief pattern of Ysolda's. I could be wrong. But yeah, it was just so sweet, and I love the colour combination as well, the grey and the yellow. It's been very, very well thought out. In fact, I'm looking at it now and it's just dawned on me that actually, look, it's a Y. It's a Y for Ysolda. Yeah, I need a glass of gin, I think. Okay, so before today, before Sujatan's very naughty influence, I had just rehomed one skein of yarn, but then we went to Karelia. Karelia House, which is up in lovely Highland, rural Perthshire. Coming back between sort of Tumblebridge and Pitlochry, we hit snow. I kid you not, snow in April in Scotland. Even that's usually a wee bit far-fetched. I know there's all the jokes about, you know, 4 seasons in one day. This was quite heavy snow. It was lying in the road as well, so that was bizarre. Because of blazing sunshine, and I've actually got a couple of friends who've been sunburnt recently just sitting out and doing the work outside. So yeah, we went to Karelia House. Actually saw the manager this time because I've been up a couple of times before and missed her. I think her name's Shirley, but she came out with Sujatan and I. There's a lovely cafe area there as well. It's kind of a bit of a bizarre setup. There's sort of like I think underfloor heating and stoves and things like that, and then on the other side there's a big craft room out the back, loads of fabric, and it's the absolute best of stuff, you know, proper designer brands. There's lots of Noro yarn. Love Noro. The yarn that I got to make this came from there before. And there's a cafe area, and all the sort of the produce and things that they sell is local as much as they possibly can get it. So lovely cakes and tray bakes. They make freshly made soup every day that you can get with a cheese scone or some bread, coffee, which they also do takeaway. I mean, there's nothing for miles around apart from this place. It's about 6 miles outside Aberfeldy, so it really is sort of Highland rural Perthshire. But beautiful. So Sujatan and I were sitting down doing a bit of knitting. Shirley came across and had a wee chat, and about half the shelves are bare at the minute because they are going over to the Knitting and Stitching show in Edinburgh this weekend, and we're getting organised for that. But there was still plenty selection of stuff, so I'll show you what I got. So first up, I've got some Colinette. I do really like a bit of Colinette yarn now and again. I've got 6 skeins of Hullabaloo that I have rehomed, and I've got it in 3 different colourways. Yeah, they are named. So this is what Salted Caper, which is shade 180, I believe. And what I like about this is they actually put the date that these have been dyed on, because they're hand dyed. Look at the colours in there. I love the blues, those sort of tealy turquoisey blues and little pops of green and orange. It's just fab, and there's enough in these little skeins. These are, yeah, 50 gram skeins. You've got 66% pure wool and 33% Welsh black wool. It is a Welsh brand. 75 metres to the 50 grams, but it is an Aran thickness. So 2 skeins will make me a nice sort of beanie hat or a nice cowl. So I've got this colourway. I've then got these ones. These ones are autumn. I've had some of this before. This is absolutely lovely. I'm not sure if you can see, there's kind of purples, different shades of purples and things in there that the camera's not really picking up. There's some nice blue. I've had this colourway before and did a beanie hat for a friend who's an artist. He's like a prehistoric artist, does a lot of work with dinosaurs, and he's been featured in the National Geographic. His name's John Hoad, Jonhoad. Absolutely fabulous artist, really rate his work, and he's one of these underrated people. If you kind of saw him going about, and he sits in my favourite coffee lounge and we quite often have a wee chat, you would have no idea who he is if you just walked in. But he came and saw me last October and had knitted a beanie out of this, and he just loved the colours. They were the colours that kind of spoke to him, kind of like that, those prehistoric sort of times. And he bought my beanie, and he did say, if you can ever get your hands on any more than that, please let me know, I'd love another one. So John, these are getting knitted up and coming your way. And I got these ones as well. These are paint box, and I just thought these were quite fun. So sort of natural colours and little pops of neon. So I'm not quite sure how far through the yarn. I think they're kind of little speckles that come through now and again. So be interesting to see how that knits up. Maybe something cabled might be quite nice in that, because I've knitted a sort of a teal, shades of sort of teal and mint greens before, as well with the Welsh wool that's come from Hullabaloo, Colinette stuff. And it's really, really nice, quite substantial wool. And then I decided I was going to get these, and it'll all make sense when I come to the next segment of what's on my needles. They had half price on some Adriafil. Sort of pure merino. So these are the knit collection trends. I'm just going to cover up the price, but they were half price. So they've all kind of fallen apart a bit in my bag, but you can see all the sort of the different kind of colours and things we've got there. So this is shade number 61. And again, it's kind of saying it's an Aran weight, but it's quite a thin Aran weight. It's more kind of a double knit kind of thickness, or a heavy double knit. So I've got 2 skeins of that colour, and I've got, I should be telling you how much is on these. Yeah, it's about 125 metres for 50 grams. So this one as well, this is colour number 65. Is it number 65? Okay, that's bizarre because it's saying this is number 65 as well, and lot 17, I think possibly. Yeah, one of the cards has got mixed up to do with these ones. So this is actually shade 61, and this one is shade 65, I believe. So I've got 2 of this as well. Look at those oranges. I love a bit of orange. A bit of orange, a bit of yellow. A lot of people are kind of put off by those shades, but I love them. Look. Oh! So I've got 2 of these as well. And then, just in case I need them, because I've got set projects in mind for those, I've got some of this as well from Adriafil. And this is shade 44. And again, this is 125 metres to the 50 grams, and this is pure merino wool as well, so it's just pale, nice pale grey. Quite a neutral shade. So I have plans for those, so I don't feel too bad about it, just sort of splurging out and going a bit nuts. So we come to finished objects. I have no finished objects this week. I have been very, very busy knitting away on 3 items, which I'm just about to show you, but nothing actually finished. So first off, we have the Brioche knit. Sounds like the washing machine's about to take off next door. I hope it's not bothering you too much when you're looking in. I do apologise if it is. Here we go. So this is the Brioche that I was working on last week. So it's coming on really, really well, but I want it to kind of be quite a big cowl. I'm not terribly happy with the, not so much a tutorial, but my understanding of it, because it told me when I was doing it that I should cast on a multiple of 2 and an additional stitch, and it didn't tell you what to do with that additional stitch, so I've kind of been slipping it and I was playing about quite a lot, and the more I'm knitting the more I'm unhappy with it, because this is a beautiful, very neat edge here. And I feel like I can't live with it, even though it's for me. I'm kind of one of those really sort of perfectionist knitters that it's got to be right, because even if there's one stitch wrong somewhere, I'll know. I have seen me rip out 300 odd metres of, you know, sock yarn, lace, sock yarn work, all the way through, and I've just got another couple of rows to finish it, because I've noticed, even though I've checked and checked and checked and checked again, that there's that little mistake, one stitch out, and I've got to take it back. And also it doesn't feel as springy, because this is a sport weight and I'm knitting it on 5mm bamboo needles, but it doesn't feel quite as springy as it should be. So I'm showing this to you and I'm going to rip the whole lot back. I've got a neat little trick that I do that I learned from Susan Crawford's Stitches in Time book, where I'll take my time about it and I'll wrap it around a hot water bottle, and what that will do is it will relax the fibres and take all the crinkles and kinks out of it, before sort of sticking it back in the ball winder and winding it up again, and it'll be absolutely fine. I'm going to go up a size needles as well. I don't think I'll just put it up 0.5mm, I think I'll go a full millimetre up to 6mm, and I'll show you why in a minute. But although these are hand dyed and they're two different dye lots, Rebecca with Ysolda's support was absolutely fabulous, and she did say, like, send me a picture in sort of like natural light of the skein you've already got, and we will match it as best we can with what we've got in stock here. And obviously you have to take into consideration sort of monitors and things, but when I fold this up and wear it, and it's got that double sort of length anyway, it's going to be sort of like in 2 sort of layers when it's on, so it doesn't really matter if one's a bit darker or lighter, or how it's pulling with hand dyed, you know, that's just the joy of it. So I'm going to be quite happy. I'm not going to alternate a couple of rows and keep going and carry out the side. It's not going to be neat, so I'm happy with that, and I've got that to do. I'm actually doing a bit of selfish knitting for a change, which is totally bizarre. It's not normally like me. I've got a charity knit going on, although I'm saying that. So this is some merry-go-round, and I don't have the label nearby, but it's fine because I'll show it to you next time, because this will still be in the needles. This is some merry-go-round acrylic that Babs donated to me a little while ago for charity knitting. So I've sent that off to, well, within a bag full of other donations for the Perthshire and refugee appeal. And I started doing another sort of brioche wrap, and it was quite interesting because I started this at Knit Crib on Thursday, and we just sort of started it because I just needed a vanilla in it so we could have a proper catch up, because some of us hadn't seen each other for about 6 months, which is way too long. But it's kind of gone all sort of diagonal stripes, and then it's gone a bit speckled. It's really interesting, but I thought the colours really are unisex, and if I do a cowl, then it can go round child or adult, teenager, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Now this is a double knit wool, double knit thickness, and again it's in a 5mm needle, and I wouldn't normally do acrylic on bamboo, but this is a really soft acrylic. It's not like sort of traditional kind of UK acrylics, but if you look, it's really quite springy. It's much better, which is kind of adding to me thinking that I need to go up a size on my sport weight, which is a bit thicker. So we've got that. I have one more project on my needles. Those of you who watched the first podcast might remember me saying that life is too short to knit socks, and I like the look of knitted socks. I absolutely adore sock yarns. They're probably my favourite yarns, yeah, of all time. That I would tend to kind of knit them into shawls or whatever, or find some other sort of project to do. However, I have been watching quite a lot of podcasts and really inspired by Kirsten on Yarngasm, who is doing the box of socks knit along. And I thought, you know what, I should at least do one pair of socks, because most of the podcasters that I'm watching are doing this and taking part in this. Knit along. But what harm can it do to knit a pair of socks? So I looked out some yarn that I had. I found a pattern. I should show you the pattern first off. Excuse me a minute. So I found a pattern, and first off, you know, wow, crazy times, because I'm actually knitting a pattern from a magazine that I bought rather than just, I think I collect magazines. So it's a few years old now. This was the Knitter, this was their 50th anniversary edition, well, 50th issue. And I found a lovely pattern by Clara Parkes for stepping stone socks. And then I found out as I was turning the heel on these that, well, I made an operator error, which happens more often than not. But when it came to the slip and knit, I was actually slipping two and then knitting one, then trying to pass it over and kind of losing stitches and going, what am I doing? So I googled for an errata, because it wouldn't be the first time that I followed a pattern and discovered that actually the pattern was wrong. I found out that there is actually an errata for the Tama mini leaves in here, which is good. It's not good that there's an errata, because it really drives me insane that how can you have a knitting magazine that people are spending good money for, and more often than not, and I've seen it with books as well, that there's so many erratas in it. I mean, where's your technical checkers? I technically check my patterns before I put them into a kit. Why can't people do when it's going in published patterns and people are spending good money on it? But anyway, there is no errata in this pattern, but I did find out that it's actually available for free on Ravelry. So I shared that with the girls in my knitting group, because I think they really quite like these socks that I'm knitting, and I think they're a wee bit inspired. Although I know definitely one of them's going to be inspired to do some knitting of these socks now. So just a wee bit different type of rib patterns, really quite simple. I like the way that the pattern's written out. It's really quite flows and it's pretty good to read. It's not been scary at all. But yeah, when I was looking at it, I knew that I wouldn't have enough of the yarn that I wanted to knit, so I've come up with contrast, and I'll show you how I'm doing. So I decided I wanted to use some yarn from Stash, some of this. This is Strathearn Fleece and Fibre, which is owned by my good friend Linda. And she's not that far away really from where I stay, and I sell some of her yarns. I work with them with kits and when I'm doing workshops and things like that as well. But it's beautiful. This is Blueface Leicester, and it's double knitting, and it's about 200 metres. It didn't have a label when I got it, but I'd started doing one of my Ardlui cowls in this as part of a workshop, and then I decided that I didn't really like it, and it's just been sitting on timeout in one of my project boxes for a while. And I thought, you know what, this would make a lovely pair of socks. It's kind of Cookie Monster coloured. That's certainly what it reminds me of. So I cast it on, and I've been weighing the yarn amount as I've been going on a set of electrical scales, and I knew that I wouldn't have enough. So I started one sock, and this is it. So you can see all the different kind of rib patterns. So I've got a bit of cuff, and then we come down into like a mistake rib sort of pattern. And so I've used a contrast for my reinforced heel. You see it there. Got 26 rows of reinforced heel. And what I used was some Woolly Jones Merinos. This is hand dyed as well, and it's double knit, and it's the yardage is probably about the same. So it's, don't know if the screen's picking up that well, but it's creams and pale greys and very pale blues. So I used that as a contrast in the heel of my socks, and thought it would do fine as well for the toes when I come to them, should I run out of yarn, the blue yarn, to do that as well. So I'll show you down the front of my socks as well. So this is, again, this is another sort of rib pattern coming down the front of the sock. On the sole, it's just plain stocking stitch, but it's got quite a nice sort of dappled effect the way that it's hand dyed and it's knitting up. So that was sock 1, and I had 55 grams left of my 100 gram skein. So I cast on sock 2. Here it is, there's even more ends kind of popping out of this one. I forgot to lift this out of the project bag before I went and started filming, and had everything else out. I thought I was doing really well. There you go, so this is sock 2. I did a bit of knitting while we were at Karelia House with coffee earlier on, so I've now actually managed to get to the same point, 20 rounds down the foot, and I reckon it'll probably be about another 10 rounds before I start shaping for the toe. So I'm going to divide up the wool that I've got left, the Blueface Leicester there, and just keep knitting so that they're both exactly the same, and then we'll do the contrast toe, so I should have those for you next week, and I should sew in the ends and things as well. But while I've got you here, I want to show you the reinforced heel as well, because I absolutely love how this looks from the other side, kind of featuring itself, and actually toyed with, do you know what, should I keep that to the outside and just kind of put in an extra round? That's the reverse of my reinforced heel. I really, really like it. So it's almost like a herringbone sort of effect. And they fit. I've tried them on and they fit, which is great because I've got quite chunky man legs from lots of hill walking when I was a lot younger. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to be possible for me to get 12 pairs of socks done before the end of the year, especially considering that I actually knit for a job. So yeah, any selfish knitting doesn't really happen much anyway because I'm so busy knitting for everybody else, but it would be nice to kind of take part and finish knitting these socks. I've even started looking for boxes to put my socks in because that's part of it, and they're supposed to be selfish knit, it's supposed to be 12 pairs of socks for you. So I'll at least have one or two pairs and take part slightly, but I don't know if I'll be able to participate in the full cowl, but hey, give it a shot. So those are my stepping stone socks, and they are going to be so cosy. I suffer from Raynaud's phenomena as well as a few other sort of health conditions. When it comes to the winter, my feet are freezing, and I mean it's so bad that up until a couple of years ago I was actually getting infusion treatment in hospital over the winter. At the worst, one of the drugs they were infusing, it goes through a PICC line in your bicep and up over your shoulder and over across to your heart. And they have to give you the medication that way, and it was 10 hours of infusion a day for 3 consecutive days, so that's 30 hours in total sitting in a hospital chair, never mind the journey back and forth to the hospital every single day because there weren't the beds to kind of stay in on the infusion bay. So it's great being a knitter, and it's actually better having a PICC line than it is an Aberfeldy in your elbow, and I'm a bit hypermobile anyway in my joints and my elbows, so if they were going in there I couldn't do anything but lie completely straight while they did it. But when the PICC line was going in, it didn't stop me knitting, so I would start a new project every time I went in to get it done, and I would always have a finished shawl or something afterwards, and it was a lovely talking point in the bay. And you would find, because you're always in with the same sort of people over the same sort of days, that you would go in one day doing knitting, and then someone would think about, oh, why didn't I think to bring in my knitting, and then by the end you've kind of got like a full ward of people knitting or crafting or doing something, which it's always been fabulous. Anyway, I digress. So no finished objects. I've shown you what's on my needles. If you'll just excuse me for a wee minute because my hay fever's playing up, and my antihistamines are making me really drowsy in conjunction with mother meds, so I can't take them. But just excuse me a wee moment. Yep, that, because I don't want to sniff on camera or blow my nose on it because that would just be really horrid. We'll come up to what I'm reading. So this week I finished The Accidental by Ali Smith. This was quite good once you get into the way that all the characters have their different way of speaking and writing, and you see how situations kind of overcross, and I won't give away the twist in the ends, but yeah, smiling really, really quite well done and clever. So finished that, and I dipped into the start of this novel as well. This is Paulo Coelho, probably pronouncing his surname totally wrong, so apologies for that, no offence meant. Which Portobello, which has been sitting on my bookshelf for a little while now. I've read Paulo Coelho over the years. I read The Alchemist years ago and it really spoke to me. Not this kind of like hippy drippy nonsense, A lot of it made actual sense with what I've been through in my own life, and it's not so much spoiler alert here, but really to me it kind of spoke of you can learn from other people's experiences, and you can listen to their stories and hear people talking about them and what they've been through and how it's formed them, but you don't always appreciate everything that you receive in life or you get in life, whether it be good or bad, until you've actually been through the journey and done that soul searching, physical searching yourself. So that's a fantastic book, and I've listened to audio playings of it. I think I've listened to one Jeremy Irons talking about it before as well, which is really good, and it's one of the few books that I've recommended to my boyfriend and he's actually read as well. So that's really good. I've also read The Pilgrimage, which wasn't so great, and we'll move on from that. And Veronica Decides to Die and The Devil Misprint. So I'm quite a seasoned reader of this author, and I started dipping in. I think I've done the first sort of 30 odd pages, and it's shaping up to be quite well. Every single novel that Paulo Coelho does has a different sort of writing style about it, so I think that's maybe why I can kind of take or leave some of them, but they are all very thought-provoking in their way. So this is probably one that I'll dip into and out to, because I can find them really quite hard going sometimes. And I've started to read this as well, which is quite funny. Rude, but quite funny. Caitlin Moran, How to Build a Girl. I haven't read any of her work before. I'm probably more aware of her actually what she does on Twitter, and quite outspoken opinions, some of which I think, do you know what, you've just got the nail absolutely right in the head, and as a woman I can completely get that, and that resonates with me. But what was quite funny is I kind of read her author's note in the back of the cover, and she actually makes a wee point in the sort of like the last paragraph. It's Caitlin lives on Twitter with her husband and 2 children, where she spends her time tweeting about either civil rights issues or that picture of Bruce Springsteen when he was 25 and had his top off. I thought it was quite funny to say that she lives on Twitter, and I suppose now, was it my doctor, my GP, that recently said something about Facebook? He called it Boast Book, and I thought that's absolutely brilliant, because some people will kind of go in a greeting meeting about it and just whinge about everything that's awful in their life, and sometimes it is really just for looking for sympathy. I'm not saying that everybody does that, but apart from that, it's always, oh look how wonderful and sunshiny and breezy and wonderful my life and my family and everything is, and it's not like that. It's not like that at all. But I thought it was quite funny that she lives on Twitter, because I suppose a lot of us do now actually just live on social media, and I can't really talk. Look at me, I'm podcasting now at you, and 32 subscribers and 222 views, so who am I to preach about that? But I think it's in moderation, really, isn't it? And in a way this is good for me. This is interacting, because I work for myself now, and that's mainly been down to sort of the health issues that I've got, and it can get quite isolating sometimes, and I don't know, you know, I kind of choose my friendships wisely, and yeah, I don't always really like people. That's me just being honest. But you know, there's a whole community out there, with the knitting community and the podcasting community, and obviously I found some really nice people, so thank you for that. You might just kind of completely unsubscribe and switch off after this, but hey ho. So that's what I'm reading. So I've been doing a fair bit of reading, as well as knitting my socks, which are really labour intensive. I haven't been watching a huge amount of interesting things. The NBA playoffs are on at the minute. Josh is a massive fan, so I think we've now watched 4 games of Raptors versus Pacers. A lot of that's been going on. Obviously Kobe Bryant has retired from the LA Lakers, so that's it. He's been and gone. I like Golden State Warriors. Stephen Curry has been injured. His ankle's totally like busticated. I know that's not a real word, that's an Evaism, or rather a Christieism. Sorry, you can adopt it just to. So yeah, he's been off for a few games, but it's something that's on the background. I played quite a lot of basketball myself when I was a teenager and things, and I don't know if you're zooming in quite close enough, and I'm certainly not going to gravitate that closely towards the camera at the minute, but I have a fracture down the front of one of my front teeth, and that was actually caused by a basketball to the face when I was a teenager. It's just more sort of a superficial thing, it's not all the way through, and you know, cosmetic dentistry costs a bomb, and hey, it's a bit of personality. But yeah, the fracture down the front of my tooth is actually caused by basketball to the face. So we're watching the playoffs is the point of that. So they're going on, they'll be going on for a long time, so there's a lot of basketball going on in the house, lots of basketball, lots of sock knitting. Perfect relationship. We watched an episode of Stewart Lee's Comedy Vehicle. Josh and I went to see him last year when he was actually, it's not so much touring, but he was working the circuit and trying to find out what material was going to work for this upcoming sort of like series that he was going to be filming. So we've seen the odd little sketch, we've seen, yeah, this episode, which is the one all about urine. Josh finds it hilarious, and he said, "You're going to put this in the podcast, aren't you? You're going to say that I find this hilarious and really funny and you don't," and it's true. Jokes about bodily functions, they don't do it for me. I don't get a lot of Stewart Lee. I don't think Stewart Lee would care about that. You'd probably call me out for it if it's in the audience, because that's one of the things that he does. Not working for me, Stewart Lee. Sometimes you're quite funny. Bodily functions, no, and certainly not near enough a half-hour stint on it. But we watched some other comedy as well. We watched Hannibal Takes Edinburgh, which was really, really quite funny with some of the things that he kind of comes up with. Yeah, and Edinburgh during the fringes is a completely bizarre place on earth anyway. I used to take a week's holiday off of work during the Edinburgh Festival and get like a 10 journey bus ticket back in the days when it was quite cheap to travel, and just bus back and forth whenever I kind of felt about it, either during that week or through weekends when I wasn't working, and see what was going on in the festival and just dip in and out of shows anyway. Soak up some of the atmosphere. Even just walking down the Mile or Princes Street in Edinburgh while the festival's on is fab. Book festivals, certainly I always want to go and look and see who's doing the author talks. I've seen some really interesting people talk about their life and their work there as well. So yeah, we watched Hannibal, and that was definitely comedy wise my still better than Stewart Lee. I've been listening to lots of podcasts, and I'll just list a huge amount of what I've been listening to. Previously I have been seeing which episodes I'm doing and I'm not doing that. Some of the folk I'm really getting into, like Arctic Knitting Podcast and Kirsten and the Yarngasm one. I've been watching the most up-to-date episodes, and then I'm working my way back and getting to learn about them as people, and doing that. So I've been listening to quite a lot of their episodes, and I think Kirsten's up to about 190 now as well, so I'm not going to list all the ones I'm listening to. Knitorious as well, absolutely loved. So yeah, there's a few people here taking part in the box of socks, which has a hashtag as well. I should say that if you're taking part as well, I'm not quite sure, I haven't read all the notes in the Ravelry group. I haven't signed up to the Ravelry group yet or searched on the hashtag, but I believe it is hashtag boxosocks, and it's BOXOSOX, the hashtag. I'll stick that in my show notes as well. So if you're taking part in that, let me know, because I'd like to see what you're doing. So yeah, Arctic Knitting Podcast, Yarngasm, Knitorious, absolutely hilarious. The Lone Larch, I watched one of the episodes of that. Stitch with Sprite 966. Helen, double thumbs up to you. Thank you very, very much for mentioning my podcast on that episode as well. I understand that some of my subscribers and viewers have come from you, and they've really been complimentary. So if that's how you found me, that's awesome. Thank you for your kind words. I should say that there's two Gairlochs in Scotland. I grew up 50 miles west of Glasgow, in that sort of area, and that's Josh coming through the door now. So 50 miles west of Glasgow, and you've got Helensburgh, and then about 8 miles up the road you've got Gairloch Head that I came from, next to the Gairloch. There is another Gairloch which is up to the north, much further up north. My accent's quite soft. I wouldn't say that I'm proper spoken. I just think that my accent's quite soft, and I hope you can understand it. okay, but I can swear like a trooper and give it all the slang just like Ellen does, and you probably will hear me incorporating some of the words like that as well, some of my own Eva-isms as we go on in these podcasts. So I watched Helen, and I watched the Fawn Knits as well. I've got some upcoming events to share with you as well, and then we'll wrap this up because we're about 40 minutes in, which is probably about double the length of a normal podcast. It's just been a bit wah today. So I am doing a market up in Aberfeldy, which is in Perthshire, later on this week. So that's on the 1st of May. They've just started doing a monthly arts and crafts market, and I've managed to secure a table there, and I'm not just the only woolly vendor. I believe that Hebridean wool is there, and I believe that not only do they sell woolen goods, they might also have some spare balls of yarn, because I had a nosy at the pictures, but they don't seem to have a Facebook page or anything like that, so I'm going to have a chat with the woman that runs that stall, and maybe talk about that a bit more in my next podcast. So I think it's, I need to check my facts, the 1st of May, I think it's a Sunday. I believe it's at the Burke's Cinema. I think there might be 2 cinemas in Aberfeldy, but check out my Facebook page, because once I checked out all my details and things, I'll put it there, and share the event. But they've got their arts and crafts market, and it is run by 2 artists who are part of another sort of bigger arts sort of collective. So they really know their stuff, and they're picking out really good artisans. Diana Law Jewellery, Diana, who's a friend of mine, she'll also be taking part, and she works primarily with silver and resin work. It's absolutely gorgeous. So you should come along. If you're in the area, come along and see us. I will have some of my knitting kits with me. I'll have some ready to wear accessories as well. They've all been hand knitted, and I'll have some hand dyed yarns from some of the vendors that I supply. So it's not really easy to get that sort of stuff locally, so if that's sort of your thing and that's how you found me, or you're following these pages, please come along. The farmers market's on as well, so it's going to have a really good buzz. The cinema will be open, and they've got a lovely little cafe in there as well, so it's going to have a lovely little vibe going on, and hopefully we'll have more sun again. The other event that I've got coming up, but it's a wee bit down the road, so this is a date for your diaries in advance. I have managed to secure a venue, yes, finally, for Perthshire Open Studios just before the deadline, which means I'll be taking part this year. So that will run between the 3rd and the 11th of September. Last year there were over 240 local artists taking part, over 200 venues, and it's every artistic discipline you can think of. So it's an absolutely massive event, and closer to the time when the brochure comes out, I will be sharing you my favourite artists on the trails, on the different routes, and recommending who else you should go and see as part of that. So it's all going here at headquarters. Thank you for being with me today. There's been huge amounts to kind of get through. Please get in touch if you're taking part in the Box of Socks cowl. Let me know. Show me what you're doing. Let's keep the momentum going. I will get more than 1 pair of socks, but I doubt it'll be the full 12. But you know, you're an absolute joy to talk to, folks. 32 subscribers. I can't get my head around it. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you that are following me on other sorts of social media. You know, my friends, if you call them that, on the business pages and Facebook, have really rocketed. I'm not quite sure how you've all found me, how it's all going about, but do you know what? You're all very welcome. And yeah, I will upload this on Tuesday, and hopefully next week we'll be back on track, as we should be. So bye bye for now, and speak to you guys again soon.